We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked Executive Order 11246, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order signed by LBJ in 1965. This was a bedrock policy that had ensured equal hiring practices in the federal government for decades.
I'm going to be very short and very to the point. To the white people watching this, and especially to the white people that know me in the real world, my friends, okay? Today, Trump did away with the Equal Employment Opportunity Act.
This is why people stopped talking to y'all while you were excommunicated from your family and friends, because we knew this was going to happen. Donald Trump has revoked the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965.
So what I learned today is a lot of y'all you don't care about your history. You don't care about the people that made sacrifices for you to be able to be where you are today, to be able to do the things that you're able to do.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel where we dive into today's most controversial stories and how people are reacting to them. Let's talk about a decision that is shaking up the country. Donald Trump's rollback of the 1965 Civil Rights Order, an executive order that prohibited employment discrimination based on race, color, religious, and national origin. Let's break it down.
We have some big news right now. Donald Trump has officially revoked Executive Order 11246, which is the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order signed by LBJ in 1965. This was a bedrock policy that had ensured equal hiring practices in the federal government for decades. LBJ's order gave the Secretary of the Labor the authority to ensure equal opportunity for people of color and women in federal contractors' recruitment, hiring, training, and other employment practices. Before I continue, if you don't yet follow my Instagram, YouTube, Substack, that's where I'll be if TikTok is ever banned. They're all linked in my bio. It required federal contractors to refrain from employment discrimination and take affirmative action to ensure equal opportunity based on race, color, religion, and national origin. Now, this is a 1965 order. There is a separate 1972 Equal Employment Opportunity Act that has not been touched by the Trump administration. This 1965 order, though, essentially ensured that there were fair hiring practices in the federal government, but now that's rolled back. As always, comment below your thoughts, spread the word, and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
If you do not want a diverse workplace, then you do not deserve a diverse consumer base. We need to follow in the examples, teachings, and legacies of those who came before us. Economically boycott companies that are against diversity and inclusion for all.
I'm going to be very short and very to the point. To the white people watching this, and especially to the white people that know me in the real world, my friends, okay? Today, Trump did away with the Equal Employment Opportunity Act. You know the history of that, and you know why it had to be implemented in the first place. So when you went in that booth, if you cast your vote for Donald Trump, we're done. If you didn't hear me the other times I've said it, I just want to reiterate it now. You cannot vote for somebody that takes away the Equal Employment Opportunity Act, knowing the history behind it and why it had to be put in place. You can't cast your vote for him and look at me and tell me that you love me. You're done. And I mean that for life. Unfucking believable. They try to paint it as this saving grace for civil rights when really they just want to fill the federal government with all of their selected employees that are loyalists no matter what. So even after the 4 years that Donald Trump is done, even if another MAGA loyalist or Republican takes the presidency, they still have to go through all of this bullshit because now you got only MAGA federal employees. No diversity, no inclusion. Talking about some fucking based off merit. We know what it has to be based off. Did you bend the knee to Donald Trump? Cool. You now have a job in the federal government. We fired everybody else. You knew what you were voting for. Donald Trump knows he cannot run again. If you think you think they're doing all this shit just to disappear in 4 years, they're setting it up for the long game. They're setting it up for the fucking long game. So now if I go in and I want to get a loan for a home, if I want to get a business loan, I guarantee you it's going to be so much easier for the white man who they love and select to get a loan than it is for me to start my business. Fast forward into the next generation, my bloodline is now affected because I couldn't start my business as soon as this guy could because he's white and he got the loan. It's an example, but do you see how shit like this affects generation after generation after generation? We get robbed of opportunities because of your selfish ass vote. Did he sign an executive order for price gouging? Did he sign a fucking executive order for these grocery stores to stop looking at you with no fucking money and increasing the prices anyway? That's what he told y'all? Where's the executive order for that? Oh, well, it's a process and it's complicated. It can't, excuses. Like it always fucking is from y'all. Done, dude. Out my fucking face, man. Think about how big of a fucking pussy you have to be, man. You don't want anybody criticizing you or speaking out against your ideology, so you try to suppress the flow of information in social media because you're a strong leader, but you can't take fucking criticism. And then on top of that, when you lose or when your people lose, you blame it on fucking DEI and the corrupt government. Because the guy who you fucking lost to is not fucking white, but he's also more qualified than you. You can't fucking wrap your head around that. You have fucking terminal, incurable hatred in your heart. And it's genuinely not until recently I had to accept that even those type of people can fucking exist. I cannot control your existence, but I can control your access to my fucking life, bro. Out of here.
This is why people stopped talking to y'all while you were excommunicated from your family and friends, because we knew this was going to happen. Donald Trump has revoked the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965. Make America Great Again always meant a return to open racism, sexism, and other forms of bigotry. You were either too stupid to know that, or this is what you wanted all along. In either case, you're trash. The order prohibited discrimination in hiring and employment based on race, color, religion, sex, and national origin. His voters wanted this all along because they were told many times that this would happen. That's why they're all grouped together and we have a zero tolerance policy for them. They knew they were wrong about it because they were crashing out, but we stand by what we said. We don't want you here. You can't hang out with us. The presidential message says that industries and institutions have adopted and actively used dangerous, demeaning, and immoral race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion. So-called diversity, equity, and inclusion, because everything was so fair prior to 1965. I know his voters are dumb and he's trying to rewrite history, but they can't be that dumb. He calls it ending illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity, back before black people had rights. It's not a meritocracy when black people can't vote and they're not allowed to hold certain positions. Restoring merit-based opportunity means restoring white supremacy. I'm just going to say it now because TikTok's suppressing me anyway. You know who benefited from the Equal Employment Opportunity Act of 1965? Katherine Johnson, a black woman and mathematician at NASA who wasn't allowed in the same meeting rooms as white men and couldn't put her name on her research papers. Is this the kind of merit-based opportunity he's talking about? To my friends wanting to know what to do next, be disruptive and vocal because every battle counts. We're the ones who have the power, not them.
For every black Republican, I really want y'all to take a long look in the mirror and ask, do you love the color of your skin? Because y'all allowed this man in office. It's something that our ancestors fought for, got beat for, got dogs on them, got sprayed with water hoses, got hung for. They fought for these rights for us, and y'all squandered them away for money. Y'all squandered them away just to be closer to white people. What a disgrace y'all are to our community. My mom wasn't even born when this shit came through. My mom wasn't even born. And you mean to tell me y'all let this man take this from us? Something our ancestors fought for? Y'all really let that shit happen? If you are black and you voted for this man, go play in traffic. Because this shit right here, this should have never happened. Everybody is about to suffer for this. Everybody. Everybody. Race, color, religion, national origin. This man is making America white again before Jim Crow. And we told y'all that. We told y'all he is trying to take us back to Jim Crow. And y'all sat there And y'all said, I don't want DEI. I don't want an advantage. DEI is not a fucking advantage. It's just to put us in the room because we're just as qualified as any other white man. And y'all let this shit go down. I'm gonna try not to cry because the bitch got a meeting.
So what I learned today is a lot of y'all you don't care about your history. You don't care about the people that made sacrifices for you to be able to be where you are today, to be able to do the things that you're able to do, to be able to have the opportunities that you're able to have. You don't care about it. I just got off the phone with my mom, who just got off the phone with her mom, my grandmother, who she had to console because she was boo-hoo crying, and my mom didn't realize why. My grandmother was crying because she had saw the news that the orange man in charge had just put an executive order to repeal the Equal Opportunity Employment Act of the Civil Rights Act of 1965. Now, I understand before that executive order was placed, that stood for over 50 years. An employer could literally tell you to your face, I'm sorry, I don't hire black people. I don't hire women. And no consequences. They could literally be just that discriminatory towards people. And the reason that it upset my grandmother so much is because she remembers my great-grandmother and great-grandfather, her parents, the sacrifices, the marching, the hard working, the speaking out and trying to help change, trying to help get these opportunities for us, and the sacrifices these people made to their own families, not being around their families sometimes because they were fighting for the good of us as a people, as a whole. And all this time later, to see what you might think is trivial, what you might think is small, to see something that they worked, sacrificed, clawed, and scratched for be taken away by the stroke of a pen. And all because a few of us, not saying a lot of us, a few of us, because it was 92% and 80%. But every one of us counts. And a few of us decided a little bit of money was more important than preserving our history, than preserving the things that we fought for, to be able to have opportunities in this place. It's just sad, man. It's sad that, the further we get away from those times, the further our elders pass away and leave this world, and we aren't taught the things we need to be taught, and the knowledge isn't passed on to us. The further we get from that, the more and more easily it's going to be for us for things to roll back and go back in that direction. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but hey, man, just gotta keep grinding, keep fighting a good fight, and look for better days, work towards better days. But man, just hearing my mom and knowing that hurt my grandmother like that it's crazy, man. Yeah, we gotta do better. As a whole, we gotta do better.
Let's break this down in detail because this decision by Donald Trump is monumental and not in a good way. It's not just a political move, it's a systemic shift in the legal and moral landscape of America. When you roll back something as foundational as the 1965 Civil Rights Order, you are not just changing policy, you are dismantling decades of progress toward equality. This isn't just about government overreach or cutting red tape. As the administration claims, it's about sending a message that discrimination in the workplace is now a lesser concern for the federal government, and that message is loud and clear. Let's take a moment to understand the significance of the 1965 Civil Rights Order. This was part of the broader civil rights movement, which saw activists like Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, Rosa Parks, and countless others putting their lives on the line to ensure equality for all Americans. The executive order was a way to codify into law that believed that the discrimination based on race, religion, color, or national origin had no place in the American workplace. It wasn't just about giving minorities a fair shot at jobs, it was about dismantling systemic racism and fostering an environment where diversity was not only tolerated but celebrated. Think about the weight of that moment. The 1965 Civil Rights Order was a response to generations of injustice, where people of color were systemically denied opportunities simply because of their skin color. To undo that now feels like a slap in the face to everyone who fought, bled, and even died for these rights. Now let's look at the rationale provided by the Trump administration. They claim that this is about cutting down on unnecessary regulations and allowing businesses more freedom. But let's unpack that. Freedom for more, because this isn't freedom for workers. It's freedom for employers to decide that someone's race, religion, or ethnicity disqualifies them from a job. It's a freedom to ignore the principles of fairness and equality that this country is supposed to stand for. This move also raises a troubling question. Why now? What is the urgency in rolling back a 60-year-old order that has been the bedrock of workplace equality? The timing feels like an international nod to a certain base of supporters, people who may believe that equality efforts have gone too far or that white Americans are somehow being left behind. This is not about efficiency, it's about ideology. Let's talk about the real-world implications for minorities. This rollback gives employers more room to discriminate under the guise of business decisions. For example, an employer who doesn't want to hire someone because their religion can now do so with far fewer consequences. This disproportionately affects Black, Latino, Asian, and Indigenous Americans, as well as immigrants and religious minorities like Muslims and Jews. Imagine being a qualified candidate who doesn't get hired not because of your lack of skills but because of your last name, the color of your skin, or the faith or you practice. For many, this will mean fewer opportunities and greater economic inequality. It also means a chilling effect on reporting workplace discrimination. If people believe that the government no longer has their back, they are less likely to come forward and report abuse. Unsurprisingly, civil rights leaders have been vocal about their outrage. The NAACP, for instance, has labeled this rollback as a direct attack on equality. Other organizations have echoed this sentiment, and there are already plans to challenge this decision in court. The legal battles are going to be lengthy, but they are necessary. Public reactions have been just as divided. Social media has been flooded with anger and disbelief. Many people are asking how a country that prides itself on being a beacon of freedom and equality can take such a step backward on the other side. Some Trump supporters are defending the move, arguing that the businesses should have the right to operate without government interference. But let's be honest, freedom without accountability is just anarchy. Businesses cannot be allowed to discriminate in the name of autonomy. There is another layer to this story, the economic impact. Studies have repeatedly shown that diverse workplaces are more productive and profitable. By rolling back protections where we are potentially creating a less inclusive workplace, which could harm innovation and collaboration. Companies that prioritize diversity tend to perform better in global markets, attract top talent, and foster better employee satisfaction. This rollback threatening to reverse those gains. Moreover, discrimination lawsuits are likely to rise, costing companies and the government millions in legal fees. This rollback might save businesses from regulation, but it will likely cost them far more in lawsuits and reputation damage. This decision also sends a dangerous cultural message. It tells minorities that their struggles and achievements are disposable. It tells the world that America is willing to forsake its ideas for equality for short-term political gain. For young people growing up in minority communities, it's a disheartening reminder that the fight for equality is far from over. And for those who believe in the ideas of fairness and justice, it's a wake-up call to stay vigilant. So where do we go from here? This rollback isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a new chapter in the fight of civil rights. It's up to us to hold our leaders accountable and demand better. That means voting, organizing, and speaking out. It means supporting organizations that are fighting for equality and amplifying the voices of those most affected by these challenges. But it also means having tough conversation with people who might not see the harm in this rollback. We need to explain why equality isn't just a moral imperative, it's a practical one. A more inclusive society benefits everyone, not just minorities. In conclusion, Trump's rollback of the Equal Employment Opportunity Executive Order and the 1965 Civil Rights Order is a stark reminder that progress is never guaranteed. Rights that are won can just as easily be taken away. This isn't just a policy decision, it's a test of Americans' commitment to its core values. And the question we need to ask ourselves is, are we willing to let this happen, or will we stand up and fight for what is right? Let me know your thoughts. Do you think this decision is justified, or is it a step backward for America? The conversation doesn't end here. Keep it going in the comments. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comment below. Let us share our thoughts and perspectives with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.